Good morning, cuties and comrades. Today is another beautiful day in history, and we've got critical work to do. I'm Sarah Mishnick, and I'll be your critical thinking coach so you can be prepared to do that critical work to the best of your ability. On this show, The Colors of Critical, we go through the 5 different dimensions of what it means to be a critical thinker. You've got to be intentional. You've got to focus on the essential. You got to think about the consequences. You've got to be independent and empowered. So we work our way through those 5 things during the week. And since today is Monday, we start with intentionality. So intentionality is all about when you are putting your attention towards something, making sure that you are engaging in the most comprehensive type of education possible. That means you are fully present and fully involved. Your intention, how can you get, what strategies can you use to make sure that your intention is fully present and fully there, being thorough, being meticulous, things like this, diligence. How can we devise strategies? Just like how a trainer at your gym will have strategies to help get you to the gym. Okay. That's part of what I'm doing here is what are the strategies to get you to engage with learning, whatever learning looks like in your life, whatever knowledge you're consuming, because you're consuming a lot of knowledge. I want to make sure you're doing it as comprehensively as possible. So it means internal comprehension. You want to be fully there, but then also in the material realm, you want to be doing as many things out here that are intentional as possible, right? Being intentional with your consequences and with outside of yourself, right? Intentional, a lot of it is abstract, but the results are pretty concrete. So that's what intentionality is all about. How can we get you to have the most comprehensive learning skills, no matter what it is that you're learning? That's what I'm here to do. I'm your coach. Yo, let's do this thing. How are we going to do it, you might ask? Well, I don't have all the answers. I've been learning about the critical tradition, and I think I've buffed up my critical thinking capacities. I don't know, judge for yourself. But I have done that through knowledge of the people, by the people, for the people, which we're going to be doing today. I got a ton of intentional cards. What? Let's learn what other people throughout time and throughout the world have said about what it means to be intentional. Who knows what kind of strategies you and I will get our hands on today. All right, let's take a look. Sandy Grande, hooray! And again, I apologize if my pronunciation is incorrect, but she wrote, is this from Red Pedagogy? It might be. Yes, it is. It is from Red Pedagogy, which is a book that changed my life. It is about the First Nations people here in the United States, their indigenous struggle, and how that has been their education, right? Their kind of education, which they've been engaging in for centuries and centuries, that now has been taken over. But I learned a lot about the indigenous perspective on learning, and they have a lot of wisdom to give us, including this little gem here that hopefully it's been clear enough for you to read. Oh man, curly hair. It's a whole thing, isn't it, y'all? Okay, so let me read this with Sandy. Maybe Sandy also can. I don't know if she can relate to me. Okay. Language and ability to name one's experience are precursors to emancipation. One more time. Thanks, Sandy. Language and ability to name one's experience are precursors to emancipation. Mm, mm. Yes, here is some indigenous wisdom to start your day, okay? And this idea, we're going to find it in a lot of places, not just in indigenous culture. This is one of those human truths that people throughout time and across the world have come to. That language and labeling are the first steps towards emancipation, toward freedom, toward liberation. What she's talking about here is that language is a tool for liberation. It is, in fact, the first step to being free. Nice. Okay. I have checked my notes on the back, so I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? Okay. So we've talked a little bit about phenomenology over the past few weeks, and phenomenology is when it's the science of phenomena. So that is the ability to name one's experience a lot of times because life is a hurtling train and we are on these tracks. We woke up on these tracks. It was already moving, right? I've talked about this before. Howard Zinn says this: you can't be neutral on a moving train. You can't be neutral in life. It's already moving you forward. You have to act, right? And same with history. It's already moving us forward. We have to participate actively because whether you like it or not, this train is part of your story. All right, life is part of your story. And the thing is, with this whole life thing, there's a lot going on. There are so many layers, so many complexities to each little human moment that we each experience from our unique perspective. Man, it is hard to find any patterns that match between people, but we can. Language, there are our human abilities can, and the human condition can be that starting point for finding these similar patterns because we're each leading this unfathomably unique life. Each moment we're perceiving and interpreting, it is kaleidoscopic, okay? Infinite, constellational, like it's bonkers, okay? So the only thing we have that can really connect us is these human experiences that keep us, that come from within us, right? And language is one of those things. And I feel like one of the best ways that I see phenomenology in like all the time is like Reddit posts or Tumblr posts or tweets or whatever, where people are like, has this ever happened to anyone before? And they name a phenomenon, and then it's like, oh my gosh, that's me. I totally relate to that. What a private little moment. Just a snippet of my day. I should really look some up. I should have some ready. But y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't think of any particular examples, but like, here's a good one. Opening the banana up backwards, right? Like that's a phenomenon. How we open a banana is a phenomenon. Okay. It's a phenomenon we've all engaged in. And it turns out we've been doing it the wrong way. Right. And if we flip it over, y'all might not have known this. Well, let me liberate you with some new information about the banana. We've been opening it the wrong way. We want to open it the other way. But this is a whole new phenomena, right? And it can make our lives a lot easier. Hey, hey, hey. Sorry, y'all. Okay. I think he's done. It bothers me a lot more than it sounds. It's way loud. But it's not so loud, I don't think, on the microphone doesn't pick it up. So if I can talk through it, then we win. We all win. Does anyone ever experience this phenomena? I think we can all relate to a lot of the Zoom phenomena, right? That was something we couldn't have lived, or we couldn't have known about if we hadn't lived it, right? We all experienced Zoom fatigue phenomena. By labeling that, think of how many people were liberated with Zoom fatigue over the pandemic, just by someone labeling that and giving it a name like, oh my God. Oh, wow. I'm not alone. My experience as a human, there are others like me. Whoa, that's a liberating thing, you guys. And that's really the source of why we have language in the first place. It's to help us connect and feel more free. I would say that's why we have all of our senses, so we can flourish, just like flowers who just, what do they want to do? What do flowers want to do? Just unfurl and flourish and live their best life? Hey, yeah, humans too. And each one of our senses is meant to help us do that. And language is a huge, unique gift. We're the only ones, as far as we know, that have language like this Yes, parrots can mimic us, but they can't phenomenologize. Is that a word? It is now. Labeled it, boom, new phenomena. Speaking of which, this should empower you to label phenomena. Okay. You not only through that might liberate yourself, but you might also liberate others when you share it. This is a critical part of language too, is you're not meant to keep it to yourself. Okay. Hence why I'm making these videos. These are lessons that I've uncovered, and I need to share them critically through my speech, which is what I am trying to do. So, you should feel empowered to name those phenomena. Be brave. Make up a dumb name. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If it's liberating, it's liberating. So, yeah, go ahead and name. Somebody's named. There was that Phineas and Ferb song years ago about the little thing on the end of the shoelace. Aglet, is that what it's called? They spelled it in the song. That thing has a dumb name. Everything has a dumb name. It was made by a human who was just as flawed as you. Make up names for stuff. Notice moments in your life, little things happening. Give it a label. Give it a label. Someone else might relate to it. And at the very least, you now, by giving it a name, it becomes this new thing. Like, who had ever noticed the little thing on the end of shoelaces until that Phineas and Ferb song? Not me. It was just part of my life. I didn't notice it, but when it becomes named, we start to pick it out of the crowd. It becomes, we can objectify it in a new way, which is really, really powerful. When you objectify it, it gets pulled out of the nothingness. It was just part of the whole. It was just part of the passing train, right? Just your view out the window. It was just part of that whole. But if you can pull it out and say, oh, look at this. I got this little phenomenon here. Now you can look at it from all sides. You can problematize it, okay, and enhance upon it. Then you can start engaging in interacting with it in a critical way, but not until you name it. That's why naming racism and sexism and all sorts of oppression has been so powerful. It's really ticked some people off, hasn't it? Because they know the power of speaking about it. If you talk about it, people are going to want to fix it. And there are some people who don't want to fix it. They're living the high life. Why? It's not a problem to them. And in fact, it's their solution. They're standing atop it. So they don't want it to be talked about. Whether or not they know that, they realize this. Whether or not it's conscious to them, they have some understanding that language liberates us. And yes, could we objectify something that isn't a problem? Yeah. But like that's why we should learn about it in school and stuff and develop our critical skills so that we don't name things that aren't problems. Because racism and sexism and classism and all those other beautiful isms, not so beautiful, super ugly isms. Don't care for those isms. I'm just too kind sometimes, aren't I? No, they're ugly. Ugly isms. All those ugly isms, I lost my train of thought with the beautiful thing, didn't I? Really threw myself off my game. Each of those are, by naming them, we are liberating ourselves. That's what it's about. And it's such a bizarre phenomenon that by giving that a name, that's a powerful tool. Sexism, which I have experienced, not racism, but sexism I have. And it is, I mean, I remember experiencing it even as a child. I remember experiencing sexism and how concrete that whole situation felt, right? Like there was some force. I could tell there was some logic here at play, some reasoning that I couldn't grasp. And man, if I had that label, I mean, what was I, 6? Probably would have been a weird thing to wield at that time. But still, if I had said, hey, you're treating me differently because I'm female, is weird. It's weird that you're bringing up my body right now. I'm just trying to be a kid. What's happening? So by labeling that, oh, now I have some clarity. Now, clarity. It is clarity. To be fair, that is a fair phenomenological word choice. Okay. For clarity. That is, but those tools would have been nice to have because they liberate us. They liberate us. But you gotta speak them. If you want to be emancipated, you gotta speak. So that's what I'm here to tell you today is use language. Be brave. Dr. Seuss and Shakespeare are not the only ones who get to make up words, okay? They were just as weird as you, just as goofy and silly and dumb as you. And they named stuff. Heck, Shakespeare came up with lonely, you guys. Is that because he was some special genius? No. Did he realize that there was no name for the way you feel when you're alone? Yeah, yeah. He just noticed a hole in the whole scheme of things. He was like, "Hey, wait a second. There's no name for that. I'm gonna give it a name." So, my God, imagine life without the word lonely. How much do we use that phenomenon to structure our understanding of the world? Oh my God, we use it a lot. And it was just made up from some dude in like the 1500s. Okay? He wasn't a genius. I mean, yes, he was an artist and blah. I don't believe in genius. Okay? I'm over it. I'm over it. It's not useful. I'm over it. Special? Absolutely. But not any better than you. That's a fact. So he made up lonely. What are you going to make up? What can you spot about the human experience from your particular angle? Because there are actually, not even probably, there are definitely big holes. We've got big Swiss cheesy holes as big as lonely still out there in the phenomenon that nobody's named. Okay. That's why internet language, that's why I love it so much. It's because it is naming those things, right? Like I bet you there's a verb for like reading something bored on the toilet now, right? Like I bet someone's named that because it's a phenomena that we can all relate to. So what else is out there? It's infinite and it's ever expanding. Like I said, Zoom fatigue. What? That's new. Shakespeare couldn't have made that one up, right? So there are so many that are unique to this time and this place. And because it's ever changing, there are new gaps all the time. So keep your eye out. Not only does this require a sense of critical speech to be able to speak up when the time is right, when you have wisdom to share, which I'd say is like all the time. You should be talking a lot more. Take my advice. I'm trying to do it a lot these days, talking all the time. But not only is critical speech vital, but critical sight is also important. Look for those gaps. Look for phenomena. Look for what is unnamed. Look beyond what is. Look outside the box at things that are fuzzy because no one has pulled them in and labeled them. You haven't been able to objectify. It's not easy. You're kind of reaching a little blind, okay? Which is why forgive yourself for coming up with a dumb name, okay? You had the sight for sure. And you got to pull it out and give it a name. So there are multiple human things we have to engage in. Sight, the materialization of an idea through speech, and then sharing it bravely. Okay? So liberate yourself today with some of this indigenous wisdom. Okay? We can emancipate ourselves by beginning with language. Notice, name, speak. All right? Pretty good advice. Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate you. I will see you all or y'all. I am Texan. What am I putting on airs? I'll see y'all tomorrow for essentials. Ooh, ooh. Let's name stuff. Let's name what's essential. Ooh, that sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So I will see you then. Thanks so much for joining me. Be intentional out there and have a colorfully critical day. Bye.